So like 3-4 years ago.
Oh, jeez. How long do bunnies live?
They live, well, if you take care of them, like 10 to 12 years. But I feel like most of the time people just put bunnies in cages. And then it's like, you know, they hate you when you pick them up. Or it's like kids just squeezing them on Easter. So yeah, it's really sad. But mine just roams.
Roams?
He eats Erewhon romaine. Me, on the other hand, I'm like, woo, you know, but for my bunny, of course.
Oh my God. Does he like pee everywhere? Or?
So they're weirdly, naturally fucking potty trained.
Really?
And so is there cursing on this? Sorry.
No, yeah. You can say.
Is this PG? Sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, when we got him, we like let him like pick a corner, and then that's where we put his litter box, and now he just goes there. It's like wild.
I didn't know you could have like a litter box for a bunny. That's crazy.
No, when people come over, I'm like, hey, so is my situation, and then he just like pops out the corner, and he has one ear up and one ear down. It's the cutest thing possible.
Oh, that's so cute. What's his name?
Bungie.
Bungie?
Yeah, but he's not like trained by any means.
Oh yeah.
Not trained.
Potty trained is like the best training you
the
can
bare
have.
minimum. Luckily, it's like in their, like that's what they do in like their bush, you know?
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so, yeah, they don't, you know, it's smart, in my opinion. For me, I want a doggo, but I can't live that life yet. Not yet. That's going to be like my child.
Wait, why can't you have one?
I want a big dog, and for my apartment and the bunny I have right now, I gotta probably not like that. Yeah. Probably not the best. Probably not the best.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But we got Maddi McCallen on here. She's a fantastic skater, and she has been on the brand new show Roller Jam on Max. Catch her on there with Hot Wheels, representing for Venice Beach.
You did your research. I'm so proud of you. I'm so impressed. Did you watch it?
I did.
Oh, okay, so you know everything. Okay. We can talk the tea. We can talk the tea.
Yeah, but I'm so excited to have you on here and talk about roller skating. And yeah, I thought it was so cool. I just want to like start with the show a bit and like talk about that for a second, and then we'll go back and dive in more. But yeah, like so getting onto that show and representing for Venice Beach, like that's huge. What was it like just being like, everybody's looking at the West Coast for like roller skating and all that stuff. Like, what was it like being representing for Venice Beach?
It was kind of like a beautiful full circle moment in like my life, because I feel like like pre-COVID, I started skating 2018, but then joined like the Venice community during like 2020, I'd say. Okay. And so, yeah, being a beginner, I knew nothing. Like I started from scratch. I did not have any type of I didn't do it as a kid. Yeah. And so like I have a gymnastics background, but that, you know, doesn't necessarily translate to 8 wheels completely. That's for sure. So that definitely took some time, but I feel like during COVID, that's when like the surge of social media blew up. And so that kind of made skating pop off in a different way than we know. Like skating's always been around, of course, but not in the eyes of social media. And so when I saw like that the Venice community existed, and like there was just so many forms of life from 60 to even like 70 years old. Like some of our OGs are still like breaking it down into the splits, and I'm like, that better be me. That better be me. But seeing that on social media, I'm like, I gotta go there. And so it was such a beautiful community, and they've taught me so much to where like now being able to represent that on like the first ever jam skating competition, there's like, for example, like what my style of skating is more just like rhythm and jam skating, which is essentially what people call just like dance skating, you know? Yeah. You don't have to be a dancer, it's just like moving to the beat of the music essentially. Right. And the artistic form is already been around, that's in the Olympics already. So it was like really cool to have jam skating on that scale. Yeah. So yeah, it was really weird and cool and awesome, and I felt every emotion possible, that's for sure. I've never been under like that amount of pressure, even in like my competition days. I was a competitive gymnast, and this was a whole separate feeling, you know? Yeah. And so, yeah, it was thrilling, it was awesome, it was such an honor to even represent our OGs, like in every interview that we could possibly get. We were like, we love our OGs. Yeah. Venice Beach, anything, like please. That's important. That's awesome. And it's so, I feel like especially in this, world right now. People just don't give enough credit, in my opinion. So I feel like really honoring the people that came before us, and like the reason that we're all here doing this right now is like truly because of like the people that came before us, for sure. So I am so honored to honor them in that light, really. But yeah, let's go, Venice.
Yeah, let's go. So like coming from Orange County, what was it like growing up there? Like, what's the difference between there and like what you found in LA that brought you here?
I feel like Orange County, like locationally, best beaches. You can't beat it. It's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. Like I am like so grateful that I grew up in some of the best beaches and beautiful areas possible, but I feel like I was lacking. It definitely lacks a creative aspect to where that's where I always felt like I didn't fit in necessarily, to where when I saw what like LA offers or just any type of like creative type of lifestyle or environment, I was like, whoa, like these things can exist. Like I can pursue whatever I want to, like I can make a thing out of this. And essentially, like in Orange County, I feel like your typical situation is just work at every mundane restaurant and just spend all your money and just do it the next day again, which is like cool. I've lived that life. It's not that you can't go out, but yeah, to have a lifestyle like that where I'm just like, I want to pour all that energy into something creative or like my passions, where I'm like, that's gonna get me farther than that. And so I feel like, again, Orange County is gorgeous, but very just mundane suburban life. And I feel like for me as like a young entrepreneur and someone pursuing my career, I feel like, okay, this is like a perfect area for me.
Yeah, a lot of people definitely can relate to that across like the US even.
All the transplants. I'm one of them.
But yeah, like if you come to LA, you can sort of live these creative lifestyles, like, and and like those people that you talk about down in Venice who are just like, you'll go down there and you'll see them every day, the same people just like living in the sun, smiling, just like roller skating around, and like
it can be your life. It seems so weird. I'm like, is it so hard to ask for? I just want to skate. Like truly, but that skating's brought so many, like, I feel like it's therapy and home for a lot of people. And Venice Beach alone is like the roller skate capital of the world. Like there's this movie called Roller Jam, and all of our OGs are in it. I feel like, or it's called, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Cut that part out. They're gonna cancel. I'm like, Roller Dream. That's like the one where all of our OGs are one. But I feel like Roller Jam is kind of like the, in a way, new modern like movie of that. So that was kind of cool how we can carry that on. But it's in Roller Dreams, it's like all of them show all of the cool 80s footage, like of them doing this stuff back in the day, and it's like crowds of hundreds of people. Like we can get crowds at Venice for sure, but it's not the crowds that you see like in that footage back in the day. Like it's wild.
That's so
I was
cool.
born in the wrong generation. I was supposed to be there.
How is that, like, has watching that, and how has all that from that era influenced you and like your taste in music and your interests?
70s. I feel like that definitely like steered my direction, as in my Instagram username's Bell Bottom Babe. And people are like, what's the story? I'm like, I love flare pants. I literally love bell bottoms. That's pretty much like, doesn't really get deeper than that. But I love the aesthetic of, excuse me, the 70s, 80s. That's all we listen to in the skate culture too. We'll listen to occasionally like 90s, 2000s. It depends who's playing for sure. But every rink or every kind of skate place you go to, it's always like your 70s or 80s music, which is iconic.
Oh, that's awesome. Does anybody ever like make like new music in that old style for skating? Like, is there a new artist?
So we have some really cool DJs. Like DJ Wayne is so awesome, and I feel like he does a really cool job of blending like modern day stuff with like just old school stuff. It's really cool. So he's one of my favorite DJs, and we have a lot of like people in the skate community who DJ too. So it's like any type of any events that we do, we try to like promote them or get them, like to DJ for those events and essentially get them, to do things like that. But it's super cool. Any rink nights, like when that like, okay, Wayne's gonna be there, I'm going. It's gonna be a good one. Because there's times where I'm like, I'm so tired, I can't move. But then starts playing, and I'm like, and I just start going, and I'm like, I don't even know how I'm doing this at this point.
Infectious.
The music just makes you do that. Like, I can't explain it.
Yeah. So, like, what about skates do you like as opposed to like regular dancing?
Ooh, I would say, well, I'm not a traditional dancer. I just know an 8 count really well because of cheerleading, but I'm not like a hip hop dancer. Like without my skates, if you took me to the club, I'd be doing like the Carlton swing. Like I would just be like, you really don't know what I would do. I would start panicking for sure. But when I put my skates on, it's just a whole different way of dancing. And again, that's why I like the whole rhythm side of it. You don't necessarily need to be a trained dancer. You can just like literally step side to side. If you could do a little 2-step, you can rhythm skate, in my opinion. So like it's really cool when you have like, again, all walks of life of like people who are just starting out. You have people in the middle of their journeys and at the, nearing the end, but all of them are like each one teach one. And that's why Venice is so talented, because we're all like, what are you working on? Shit, we're all just like messing around. And so when you make it fun for yourself, I think you don't realize how much extra work you're putting into something, when it's like your passion. So that's how we get a lot farther, I'd say, and it's like really cool to see, because sometimes I get in my head because like I have like, with injuries, stuff like that, I'm like, how long is this gonna last? But then I'm like, oh my God, I see all the OGs, I'm like, I'm good, we're good. I'm going to be 70 and I will be in the splits in that day with my little fake hip, that's for sure. That's my dream.
I love it. So you came over here 2020. What was it like being in that mindset? Like, I'm moving here from Orange County. Were you thinking like, I'm gonna blow up off of social media, or did you know you were gonna start coaching at that point? What were you sort of thinking about?
Not at all. I just knew. So like, I think coming from like cheerleading, I know it sounds cheesy, but I've been on like a team my whole life. And even though like looking back, I'm not trying to claim that like little cheer competition title of whatever place, but it's like it's like I don't necessarily care about that, but like being on a team I really miss. And I think that's why I think every human naturally like wants a community and wants love and wants to like cherish that with people. And so I just feel like I've never had that on such a deep level. Cheer's definitely a little bit more materialistic, I'd say. But when I went to Venice, like moving here, it felt like I moved home. And I know I'm just again a little transplant, but cool. I went to Venice and I just like absorbed the community and everyone who like brought me in under their wing, and it was just such a beautiful experience. So I feel like after 2 years of commuting there and putting like 12,000 miles on my car in a year, I was like, I gotta get up here. I was like, I gotta go. And so it didn't feel unnatural. I feel like anywhere else though, if I didn't build that as much as I did, I wouldn't just be like, let's go to New York. Oh my God, I would like cry. So, but now anywhere I do go, you can find those little like skate communities around the world, and I'm like, okay, where are you?
That's awesome.
But it's super fun.
Yeah, like what was it like meeting people from all over?
It was so cool, and I know there's pros and cons to social media. Do not get me wrong, I totally get it. But I think it's so amazing and such a beautiful tool, because I wouldn't have met anyone like if it wasn't for social media. It's like we all have our little bubbles around the world, and it's like, I've been to Venice, I knew about it, but I didn't know there was such like a deep-rooted history in roller skating. I didn't think I would become a roller skater, anyone pursuing that.
Be on a show.
What? And but no, it's like I'm really, sometimes I get in my head sometimes, but like I would say when I was living in Orange County, I would like tell myself my dream is to just be close to LA, move to LA, be around the skate community, because that's when I feel like it's home, And don't get me wrong, it doesn't, like a community doesn't mean like we're all like best friends forever. That's like naive in my opinion, but like we all have this mutual understanding that like, okay, here is home. And we don't have to be besties, but we all get it. There's not drama in this little plaza right here for as long as you're here. And that's just what I really love and respect about any community, because it's like my cheer team that my parents aren't forcing me to be on, you know? It's like my like literal cheer team that feels real, and we're all just like in a real life high school musical, because we'll be in mid conversation and there's a song coming on and then someone's like 5, 6, 7, 8, and you're like, yeah, and you just break out into a whole choreo. So I can't imagine. I feel like some audience members are like, is this a flash mob? I don't know. Maybe we are.
What are you like imagining in your head as you're dancing? Like, are you just like vibing to the music, or sometimes are you like imagining yourself in a movie or something like that? Or...
Depends on the song, I'd say. I feel like I have a sister who's 6 years older than me, so I feel like I grew up on like the Ying Yang Twins and like 2000s like hip hop like that. So when that stuff starts playing, I just want to start doing alphas and just like go crazy. But for the most part, like if it's just like your, you know, good 70s playlist, for the most part, I just like move and groove. I really enjoy just like flowing. It's like when you hit that flow state, or like, I feel like, you know, this could be comparable to surfing or skateboarding or any hobby you do, you know. But when you get good enough to where you're just comfortable and you're not like thinking about the next move, or like, okay, I'm not dying, you know, like, it's such a beautiful, freeing feeling. And once you hit that, it's like, okay, you know, it's like, you don't even have to be good at it, but like so many people I teach are like, I just want to flow on the boardwalk. I go, all right, girly pop, let's go, you know? And so that's a whole different, that's why I love skating too, because there's so many styles that you can do. You don't have to dance, you don't have to do the artistic, and then you could just literally do the boardwalk or street skate, or just two-step. That's why I love it. That's why I love it.
Was there a time, like when you first started skating, where it felt frustrating and like it didn't feel comfortable?
Yeah, and I feel like that's like one of I feel like my biggest, it can be a strength at times, but it could also be my biggest weakness. But I'm so hard on myself just because, again, competitive gymnasts, like we are just raised from 3 years old to just like do it again. Not like you have this like false perception where you can be perfect, because you're like, no, it's not perfect, do it again. So I have, you know, sometimes just in my own practice, like I would never, you know, say that to any of my students or do it like that, because if anyone were to say what I'm saying, I'd be like, no, like what? But in my own head, you know, we're our own worst critic, right? So sometimes, of course, when you're learning, or you have a bad fall and you're really questioning, like, should I be doing this? Like first week of skating, I went from blades to quads, and whole different situation. Yeah. And I was learning at like the beach. It was a packed day too, not low key at all. And I just did total one of these backwards tailbone falls that you hear in all the horror stories, right? Yeah. And I was literally just like laying down, and my friends were just blocking traffic to go around me, and I'm just like, oh, I can't. I was like, I can't. And I really questioned. I'm like, should I be doing this? Because like I already had a hip surgery. I have a back injury. Like I don't need to be doing this again. So I got up, you know, dusted off my bloody knees, and then, you know, I just basically was like, all right, there's a way to skate. And I feel like if you're going to start something new, you're going to be bad at it. It's okay. Like it's unfamiliar. So I feel like it's cool though, because when I moved to Venice, so many people taught me, and then all this stuff was so much easier, because you're like, bend your knees. Yeah. Wow, that'll solve 90% of your problems, I'll tell you that right there. But it's the simple things like that where no one tells you, and you just put on 8 wheels and people just go, and it's like, we've all done it, I get it. But yeah, I've definitely been frustrated, or especially like tapping in from a hobby, getting into a career, you know, making it like, oh no, this isn't just like, oh my God, I love you. So cute, sorry. ADHD. But yeah, getting into like a career mode, it's kind of hard to keep those like this is my passion, this is what I love, but now this is also work. And it's like, you know, there are 16-hour set days. There are, you know, people who don't really know how to work with skaters, meaning like we're on 8 wheels, but everyone else is on shoes. So it's like very hazardous for us. And that's like the easiest way to break an ankle. It's not by doing the hardest trick, that's for sure. It's like that little pebble or an extension cord. I'm like, that is not the way I'm going to go out, that's for sure. Yeah. But yeah, so it's a weird boundary, but it's kind of like a light you have to switch on, especially in the entertainment industry. Like anyone who's a performer or actor or singer in any way or whatever the case, like you just have to turn on this light and it's just like a different mode, and then you have to get back into it, because sometimes it's hard. Sometimes I'm like, no, you started because you love it, you know, and you have to go back to like your roots, you know, because sometimes in this industry you get swept up in like ego, all this stuff where it's like, nah, dude, we're literally just skating on 8 wheels, like we're skating in circles.
Yeah, I like. Yeah, I think it's interesting hearing that you did like gymnastics and cheer, because I just imagine those sports being very different from this, and you said it a bit, like they have to be perfect and it's very regimented. Is there something about like skating that you've always wanted from those sports that you never felt you could get?
Oh, I love that question. Honestly, yeah, to be honest, I feel like, well, I would say sophomore year I had my hip surgery, and cheer was my life. I did it competitively, and then I went to high school, and that's when I feel like my whole vision of it got really tainted, because when you're in a club sport or competitive sport, you're all here on the same consensus, you know, on the same level, same training. But then when you go to high school, you just have some people who are like, I'm doing this for PE, who don't care about the same things I cared about and was brought up about, you know, which is team, community, like, yeah, woohoo.
Right.
And, you know, high school is not necessarily like level wise as hard, because we legally can't do stuff in high school, and on certain like pep rallies, we're on basketball floor, we can't legally do certain moves or certain like tricks or baskets, because there's like stuff on the ceiling, certain heights of that. But competitive, like when you actually watch like a real cheer competition, an all-star competition, they were chucking people like 10, 20 feet in the air, and they were catching them.
Yeah.
And then you're also doing all these, it's just, the way you have to twist your body, like tumbling puts like 7 years on your body. It's absolutely insane. Like, and the flexibility that you have to get also kind of causes injury down the line as well. And so, yeah, but I feel like I kind of just got really injured, because I also was just, I'm not a petite human, which I'm A-okay with, by the way, but it's way easier for someone who's like 5'2" and 90 pounds to do a back tuck versus someone who's 5'10" and like, you know, a good 150, and I'm proud of that, but just way harder physically. And I feel like once I started getting injured, I had this like perception of like, you have to push, because that's where I came from. If you had a sprained ankle, it was walk off, or like, you know, there's the door. And so, or you like get through it. And so, yeah, people think cheerleading, it's like, it's just the skirts and makeup, right? But it's like one of the most brutal sports you can get into, for sure.
Yeah.
But I feel like when I was so sad during my injury, like I had a year of my life like taken away, not taken away, I'm so grateful. I got like a new hip, what's up? But it sucked for sure. I had a reconstructive hip surgery. It was supposed to be very minimal at first, but like I was just so young at the time. And so no doctor wanted to like take me. So then I'm here now a year later, and they're like, no, this is like a whole thing. And so I got it done a year later, bedridden for the whole year, and I had to walk again, all that stuff. And I went back into cheer my junior year after I got cleared. Don't know why I did that one. I don't necessarily regret that, but I feel like I definitely have more of a pack if I didn't do that. But I went back into it and still continued. But during that year, I gained up to like 210 pounds. So it was already hard enough to get my ass over, and then let alone having that weight gain was just so hard on my joints, I couldn't do that. And so, yeah, now being in almost like the best physical shape of my life, being not necessarily good, but like, you know, not tooting my own horn, but I'm like, okay, I'm pretty good at this thing. I can, like, I'm really pumped on that. I've never been so into a community before, this intertwined in this like lovely little world, right? But yeah, I think I knew what I could do in cheer, but I just couldn't pursue those moves anymore because I just got so severely injured, and that made me sad. So now I feel like as a woman in the industry, I feel like I'm known for like why am I missing the word, floor work, which is a lot of like masculine power moves, like a lot of break dancing moves too that like are intertwined too, and all the men do it. And so in the show, that's the move at it land.
Yeah.
My tumble.
Yeah.
It's so rude. But no, it was really cool to even just like showcase and try that kind of move. Like I don't have that move perfect yet.
Talk about the nerves like at that moment.
Dude, so it's interesting though, because that was the fun challenge for me and my team, right? It's like we do our dancey dances, but we like 2-minute routines on skates. Like I was, when we pieced out our choreography, I was like, okay, I can do a flare kick and I can do this partner stunt, but we did not factor in the stamina for all of that together. And I have asthma too on top of this.
Oh, geez, yeah.
And so by the partner stunt, I was like, I'm tired. I'm very tired and I'm not doing good. And so I kind of told myself, I'm like, you either got energy for one, to be honest. So I'm like, either drop Alicia or like, just don't go for this move. And so of course I chose Alicia. Yeah. I would never drop my girly pop, but yeah. And as a base, that's like so illegal. That's so illegal. Yeah. Like you die for your flyer. So, and so, yeah, I would never ever do that. But yeah, it was to that point where mid performance, I'm like, I can't go for this. And second alpha, I feel like I was like, whew, I just gave out. I think my body and I was like, hey, run into the splits. And I was like, so yeah, show must go on, of course. Yeah. But it was the most pressure I've had because again, we perform in front of audiences in Venice. Like people just trickle in and just stare at us like little show monkeys. But
no pressure.
Nothing. We're in our own element. But it was so different, especially like competing against like our literal like friends, you know. I'm like, reality TV was so funny because everyone wants the drama, everyone wants like, but it just so wasn't like that. I saw the pictures of you guys like. I'm like, dude, we're all friends. We're gonna see you back in LA. Like what? And so, but the people I've never met before, like the Trendset is one of my favorite teams. Truly, they were so absolutely the most humble people you can meet, and it's really just eye-opening to meet people like that, especially coming from LA, because I'm like, wow. The world is pretty simple, like it really is. Like, you know, we put so much more emphasis on it, like, you know, in our minds, and so it's beautiful to see that. But it was so heartbreaking to go against them. I was like, we just became best and I'm so emotional. Clearly, I was like crying every episode I could get at this point. But it was sad. It was hard. It was so many emotions in that sense where. It would be easier if we weren't friends. I'd be like, oh, I hate you, or whatever. That's true. But I'm like. It's so sad. It's so sad.
Would you learn, like, competing with all those other teams? Were there things you picked up?
So the Alicia, she has a lot of like artistic background too. She's such a phenomenal skater, and she has probably the most skate history than all of us combined at this point. But she does a lot of like stunts, which
she's the one
I was like carrying first episode. She is like perfect because she's like the little cutie patootie 5'2", like she's just so light. I'm like, okay, let's go. And so she, you know, I'm a base too, but not on skates. I've never partner skated like that, and so we kind of looked at each other and we're like, let's give it a go. Like, can't hurt. And so. I kind of like, you know, since I'm not going to learn like a perfect artistic stunt overnight, you know, we had very minimal time to get any of this together. So we're sitting here and I was like, okay, she had a move that was kind of like artistic at first. And then the way I flipped her out was kind of like gymnasty because like that's how I've done a stunt before. And so it was kind of so cool. And we called it our happy accident because it was just like, where I was like, are you good? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, that was cool. Okay. Like, let's try that again. Okay. And so it was really cool to kind of like blend and make our own kind of partner stunt, you know? Yeah. And like, I really admire like the whole artistic like background and the foundations because you need to have foundation. Like competitively speaking, I respect that. But I feel like the freedom of the recreational side of jam skating is what really brings more people in because it's like, oh, I can do that too. Not everyone's like, I can be an artistic skater, you know, because that has a lot more funds. Not everybody has the funds to do artistic skating, and like that's very predominantly done in the rink, and so that's a whole separate like, you know, fee, extra stuff. And So yeah, I think the recreational side of it brings a lot more people in because there's just way more like just people out there who are like, I can actually do that too or relate to that. So that's what we want to showcase as well to just all the people out there, that you can legit just get roller skates and just join us on this weird little circle. It's awesome. It's so cool.
That's awesome. So like, how did you hear about the show? Like, what made you like decide to try out for it?
So it's my other teammates, Sid was like, hey, there's opportunity. Like, do you want to like get the team together for the most part and like try to do it? And to be honest, this goes with any gig too. Like anyone knows that like it's a tedious life of casting calls and callbacks and auditions and rehearsals. And so it was like, I mean, we filmed in New Orleans in March, and we were
You were in New Orleans?
Yes.
Oh, my girlfriend's from there. That's so cool.
We were staying like in the middle of the French Quarter. It was like,
awesome.
It was gorgeous, but obviously I was there in the most like overwhelming environment, so I don't think I got to properly enjoy it, but it was cool when we were there. So that like I got to appreciate the nightlife. I'm such a grandma. I'm like in bed at like 8 or 9, so I was like, I'm up past 12. Crazy. Oh my God. But so I did lose track of where we were going on the last part.
Yeah.
Like New Orleans.
Artistic skating. And we went to anybody.
We'll get there. We're gonna find it. I was talking about Alicia for some reason. Oh, how did I get this gig?
Oh, yeah.
Sid, so then Sid hit up, rallied the troops basically, and it was a few months of long, tedious casting calls where it's like, we didn't know if we were gonna make it. Anytime you send a casting call, you just like, it's probably just into, thin air.
Yeah.
You have no idea.
Videos or?
They were like basically create routines because they wanted to kind of see what we would look like, performing on the floor essentially now that I've, done it. But being in that time where I'm like, it's 80 degrees at Mar Vista and we've been here for 6 hours trying to make a 2-minute choreography.
You don't even know you'll get.
To their standards, and it's like, we'll send it in and they're like, oh, can you do more like go around the rink or stuff like that? So you have to like kind of change like the whole entire routine and just, so it gets tedious, but that's with every gig, that's just the life. But it was hard work, and I feel like a lot of people, anyone who was like, why didn't I get this? I'm like, did you want to come to Mar Vista for 6 hours in the bloody heat? I was like, oh my God, I thought we got heat stroke. But it was the hardest work, but the most like, what's the word I'm looking for? It was so
fulfilling.
Yeah, it was like the best achievement I could have had. Like it was super, super fun, and I feel like my inner child was so happy because I was just on my little team, and I'm like, this is super cool. And we're all women too, and that's what I feel like that was the coolest thing. Because again, all the moves that we are doing, all the men are just taking the cake with that, and I'm just like, no, and a lot of women are even scared to like go near those moves. So it's really cool to just like, no, we can do it. Just baby step it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, like, and for it to also be like the first show that you're be a part of in history, like.
It's
for Roller Jam, that's huge.
So wild.
You're gonna be an OG one day.
That is another goal. That would be an honor, truly.
So
but
cool,
to have the first of its kind was just it was so wild. And I think that another thing, it came with so many challenges because again, it was a first of its kind. There was no guidelines. We're creating those guidelines. So I really hope that this show creates like motivation for more crews to get together and more teams and to, maybe make like jam skating on the map competitively, like I love the recreational side, but it also deserves a chance to be, up there too. Not everybody has to compete, but, give the people who want to have that chance or like at least get it serious enough to where maybe we can be in the Olympics one day.
Yeah,
we got a long way to go for that one, but, hey, we gotta only hope,
Honestly,
and this is a step. This is for sure a step.
That's a huge step. So you talked about being on other sets and things like that. What sort of other work are you looking for with roller skating?
So I've done I feel like during COVID, again, a surge of like social media and like that speaking, I feel like it just, again, blew up in a whole different way to where it kind of gave a lot of us platforms. Like we all, essentially were just like posting just our skate vids, and I feel like, either TikTok or Instagram piece, there was just some people who blew up for sure. And, as a small business, I am so grateful for those numbers, like I know they're just numbers. I don't necessarily tie my whole life into that.
Yeah.
But, as a small business, that's really cool. And I do cherish community. So those are like a lot of like my true friends and like supporters there. It's really, really cool.
That's so cool.
But yeah, I feel like I do that kind of gave me a track of like commercial work, entertainment work, crazy stuff, or like performing at parties, or just like being in music videos, like, or now it translates to stuff that like I don't even have to be on skates for anymore. So now I just like, it's just cool to be in like anything creative, whether it's a commercial, a music video, or a podcast, or what. Like I really don't care what the title is. Like I'm just so cool to create. I'm just so down to create something cool.
Are there things that you are looking to create yourself in the future in different lanes?
Ooh, well, I'd say I'm really trying to, I'm really proud of how far I've come for this, but yeah, the last 3 years I've been creating my own business, JelliBells, Ayo.
Oh, JelliBells,
But it's a roller skate, like, so like the toe stops essentially in the front of the plug, it's like our brake essentially. We take those out and put like a little baby one in. And essentially that gives us a lot more room and freedom to do everything that you see that we do. Like all the moves like toe spins or sit spins, or a lot of the rhythm skating moves that we do, essentially we don't have toe stops. Toe stops are generally for like artistic or breaking or hill bombing, or like those gnarly like jumps that you see, like axles and stuff like that. So we're here for the toe stops too, but I chuck those things out the door. And essentially, like in my world it's so big, right? But in the big scheme of things, it's really hard to find like good quality equipment for skating. And so that was like the main complaint in the dance world, where it's like jam plugs were just like plastic and lasted 2 seconds, and they just like grinded down and just weren't really useful. And so my friend came to me and was like, can you make jam plugs? Because I was a resin artist essentially. So I was like, I could, but like not with resin. That's not like a good quality product. And so I played around with some stuff with resin just to test products, and it was like a year of just making them, putting them in my skate, hoping for the best. And sometimes they blew up, not actually, but like, obviously it took a lot of trial and error until I found, my friend Alan really helped me find like a proper material that's actually more it has like a weight bearing capacity. Basically, it's not plastic. It's like a rubber, and it has like a bounce and a spring load. And I made 3 different sizes for people for different levels, and then I can make different colors glow in the dark. Because again, you can only get like 3 colors on the market, and they're one size. And a lot of people don't want to take off their brakes and just put on this little tiny thing. Like that was really scary to me at first. That freedom is really scary until you get used to it. Then it's a beautiful thing, but at first you're like, taking off your brakes. That's not essentially the first thing you do as a beginner. Not smart in my opinion. But so that's why I feel like in the next couple of years I'm gonna get, life is life, and it's hard to juggle a part-time job on top of this, on top of another. It's making a small business, and it's all funded by me, myself, and I don't have anybody else helping me with that. And so, I made it a trademark, an LLC, working to get a patent. And
so cool.
I'm really trying to just like level that up as much as I go.
So when did the company like first start?
God, I would say like JelliBells like 2, going on 3 years now.
3 years.
So awesome. And there's so many people, like, it's really rad. Another kind of going back to like really cool to meet people around the world, because I'll see people who fly in, or like I'll go visit people, or there's people in Spain who want my jam plugs, or like all my Etsy orders, like people are going outside the country or all the different states. I'm like, what the, or awesome. Or people I've never met, like, hi, I've heard about great things about your jam plugs. It's like, I'm not perfect, and I'm always trying to level up my product for sure, but it is so beautiful to see those messages where I'm like, whoa, I've actually like created a cool product that works, and people like it, and it's in my passion. So it's like I really want to level up my business essentially and not have to work a part-time job.
Yeah, no, that's
the goal.
awesome. So it's you and your friend who started that
Yeah,
business?
so he kind of helped me, because he was like, I don't want the business side. He's like, make me jam plugs. I was like, you got it. And
Yeah.
so he really helped me experiment with like the type of like hardness of like this rubber and what works with what. And
But this is like your company.
he was like the whole, yeah, he was like the science behind this. He's
Okay,
like has
gotcha.
such a awesome brain. And then I had another friend who was a 3D printer. So I was like, hey, rally the troops, get the crew together.
Yeah.
And yeah, we created some really cool stuff. So then essentially though, I created JelliBells and I am now like selling them on the market, and it's really, really rad. And a lot of people are in my plugs. It's super
And so
fun.
the clothing, is that like more recent as well?
Yeah, I don't necessarily sell like merch because it doesn't necessarily like do as well in the sense where I'll have them for like my friends or like my supporters, and I'll have a couple on the site, but I just really I just do the jam plugs for the most part.
Yeah.
Or like I'm gonna try to get like some smaller merch things where it's like sweat towels for the summertime. I always need to have that on hand, you know, or just like more little things like that where it makes more sense to get. But I don't expect everyone to just rep a Jelly's jacket, but because it's also just expensive to make. Like it's really hard to make like any kind of profit. Like a lot of the times the websites take like a lot of the taxes a lot of the stuff on it. So it's like to even make this, it was like $50-$60. And I'm like, for me to sell that, who's gonna buy it? Like, I don't want to do that. It's just so, you know, so when you really do the math, I'm like, so I'll do it, you know, every now and then. But the plugs are the main accessory. So many people think they're candy. Like one lady was like, are these candy? And I go, no, sorry. And she goes, oh, she's like really disappointed. And I go,
Oh, really?
I can't win. I cannot win in this life. So wild, but no, it's been
But that's
beautiful.
crazy though. That's like such an innovative idea. Like,
Right?
yeah, I mean,
Did not think it was possible.
yeah, I mean, a lot of people will start businesses. Like most businesses really aren't that creative and they're not really needed. So the fact that you found like an innovation that's needed in something you're passionate about, like that's definitely something that people are gonna resonate with, and it sounds like they definitely already are. So that's so cool. Yeah.
Thank you. I know. I feel like I feel like I was just like in the restaurant industry, and I'm grateful for those part-time jobs because it helps me fuel my passions. Like everybody's got to make some money, you know. World's hard out here. Yeah, like we're all low-key broke. Like let's just put down the Louis Vuittons that we all got for Christmas. Probably didn't pay for, and let's just all, you know, join hands, please, because life's just hard out here, you know. So. I just remind myself that it helps me fuel for what I need to do, and everything's temporary, and you know, I just do my best from there. But it gets stressful sometimes. Sometimes it's just because it's like all me. Like you got to be your own motivator, and sometimes I'm like, I don't want to change shit, and it's hard. But then it's just, again, it's a passion at the end of the day. So that's what keeps fueling me, which I'm really grateful for. But
that's the biggest part that I think like is gonna give you the best chances, that if your heart's in it, like you're not gonna give up on yourself. And but yeah, that's really cool. Have you started doing like different types of promotion for JelliBells? Do you have plans in the future for like how you're gonna get the word out there?
I feel like I'm really, next year I got some goals. I'm doing my little, you know, New Year's list, but I feel like I've learned a lot more things. I feel like when I created it, I was just like, all right, I was just kind of flying by the seat of my pants. Like I didn't really know what I was doing. So I feel like now having a more like educated look on things, or like understanding what an LLC actually is. I was like, I don't know, but I'm going to get it out. I'm going to make sure, you know, legal soon. All right. You know, I had no idea what I was doing. I know I was going the correct way, but I didn't really understand like why I was doing these things, or you know, or just like the seriousness and the quality of my product, or just, you know. So it's like, again, I'm always trying to level up my things. So, and that's again the cheerleader self, but I feel like I have like my bell bottom account, and it's really just hard to do 2 platforms at one time. It's just a struggle, but
JelliBells is its own account.
It's its own account, which I definitely promote more through Bell Bottom because that has more numbers.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to grow JelliBells as a separate being for sure. And so but I feel like next year it's not solidified yet, but I'm in the works for going to RollerCon, which is it's basically like VidCon, but for skating. It was essentially more for like derby and park skating.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I've been befriending so many cats lately.
Really?
Like, I don't know what it's about. Like,
my
I feel
God.
like cats have hated me my whole life, and I feel like I'm turning a new leaf, and now they vibe with me.
Cats are the best. I love cats.
I do love how like independent they are, honestly.
So
like, I love doggos, but now I'm kind of like,
yeah, you could get a cat now.
dude, if I got a little baby cat, it would bounce. It would because if it was like, if it was like a baby kitten, it would literally hop because of Bunny. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of like videos I see, like dogs will start hopping because they're like, oh, that's how you dog. And it's like, no, that's a Bunny.
God. You gotta get one.
Goodness gracious. Oh, but yeah, so Vegas RollerCon, it started off as kind of more of like park derby, kind of more like a convention for that. But now it's kind of expanding into more like of the dance scene and like rhythm skating and stuff like that. So I feel like there might be an opportunity for me to teach out there. Yeah. And then this next year, Barcelona, there's Skate Lab, and that's a whole entire like weekend festival for skating. It's the biggest thing in history. It's been a thing for many, many years. And it's my first time I'll be going out of the country, and I really want to go this year.
God,
and I want to get like a Jellies booth. We're going international, baby. And so that's my next goals. And so I feel like now just expanding just outside of here, I feel like I've done a really good job building my community. In California, I've literally teach from, like, I have people I know from San Diego all the way up to Santa Barbara. Like, it's wild. Like, I got most of the coast, like
covered it all.
Covered a lot of the, people are like, where are you from? Because they hear I'm from Orange County, but they know I live, in Santa Monica. But then they see me do all these workshops everywhere, and they're like, where are you? I'm like, everywhere. Yeah. I'm everywhere.
Anywhere you need it.
Exactly. I just go with the flow. I love the drive. I love just literally just skating and just hanging out. I feel like life is really, doesn't need to be that serious. And that's just when I'm happiest. I feel like, God, I know it sounds so cheesy, but it's like, just do shit that makes you happy. It's really as simple as that, That's
awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's the perfect.
Period. Bam.
Yeah. But thank you so much for coming on. I think it's so cool what you're doing, and like to hear about you being an entrepreneur, like that's such a cool and innovative way to, make a mark on the industry that you love. And can you call it the skate industry?
Honestly, at this point, I think you can. We're going to call the term right now, all right?
Industry.
Hear us now.
There we go. I think you're doing great things. It's so exciting to hear and everything that you're doing, and to be close to somebody who's so passionate and who seems to have so much direction in their life. That's really inspiring for me as well, and I'm sure a lot of people watching this.
Thank you.
Hopefully some people pick up some skates. And,
and maybe stay tuned. Maybe next episode he'll be in skates.
Oh God, I went ice skating yesterday.
Okay, I'm proud of you. All right,
but it was really bad.
That's a whole different situation. The rentals are trash. It's not even real ice. Like if you were, give yourself another chance at a real ice hockey rink, because that's actually proper, and you'll actually at least be able to stand. Even 5 years into my journey, I went to a little pop-up rink in Huntington, and it was fake ice. It was melting. I couldn't even stand, bro.
Really?
I couldn't. It was rough. So
it makes me feel better.
It's a whole separate situation. Don't stress.
But stream Roller Jam on HBO Max Max. Sorry. Just get that.
Yes, sir.
And then I'm gonna put Bell Bottom Babe and JelliBells down in the description. Go check those out, and go check Maddi McCallen out. She's a wonderful skater and very talented person. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you. Bye, all. Thank you, boo. Appreciate you.
Thanks for watching.
That was kick ass.
That was awesome.
I'm I can chat.